Did I get us live? Are we
I
working?
believe so.
Okay, good.
Getting it shared.
Caleb Shaw, guest host. We'll get into Afghanistan. We'll talk coronavirus. We'll talk dog ordinance, all that and more coming up on today's Wade and Carter Show. And I'm verklempt. Oh, can you bring up weather? 78
Now we're going to hit the action. All right, where does he stand here? Let's put smaller. All right.
Hey, good morning.
Good morning, my friend.
How are you today?
I'm well.
Glad you could join us.
Thank you. I felt everybody's heartbreak when they saw the feed come up and they saw me. They were like, "Dang it!" They got the backup
I don't
today.
think that's the case. We've shifted somehow, but anyway.
You know, I'm like, it feels closer. Like, do I put my arm around you? What do I do here?
You know, whatever. You know,
but we'll make it work.
Yeah, we'll make it work. But everything's, I don't know. Everything's on the desk seems to have shifted.
It does.
Banner's not centered, but oh well.
I'm in studio today. The problems are just beginning, my friend.
Oh, is that it?
If things are going normally, then yes, sir. We're on our way to Troubleville.
Let's do this. Wade and Carter Weather brought to you by the fine folks at Deerland Feed. For all you need, whether it's ag, pet, farm and ranch, garden, yard, Deerland Feed has you covered. I will be making a stop by there. I am out of products to control the weeds along my fence lines and the grasses, so I'll be stopping by there and doing that. Currently 78 degrees. We're heading to a high around 95 today. I'm sure the heat indices will be up there. And the tropical storm Grace?
Sure. Sounds good to me.
Well to the south of us. They were worried that this thing was going to blow right through us by this weekend, and we have nothing but sunny skies and warm temperatures, hot temperatures.
I was gonna say hot.
And I don't even think that chance of pop-up showers is kind of popping around.
I think they just like to tease us a little bit with that.
I agree. So, how are things? It's been a while. What's new in Caleb's world and with Meet Victoria? What's the latest and greatest on that front?
You know, we're doing very well. We started season 3. We got it back up. We've got a new episode airing today, which will be a great one. And it's Paint's Underground Pizza, so that'll be a fun one. And then
good pizza.
It's really good stuff. And then the event show is doing really well. We've got a new studio on that, and so we'll be filming today on that as well. And so. No, very blessed. Victoria's really embracing the show, and we're grateful and look forward to you all's episode. We'll be making that in the near future.
Promises.
I know. Well, I'm waiting for you guys to get a little bit bigger, you know. When you're just a little bit bigger,
yeah,
then you can come on. Yeah.
Well, you'll be waiting for a long time.
And you get 5 years, man. 5 years almost. That's
October 8th. We're going to celebrate our 5th anniversary and have a little party at Club Westerner, band coming in. We're gonna have a good time. Tables available. We'll have fun.
You guys have definitely earned that. That's nothing to shake your head at. 5 years. That's impressive. It's a lot.
They said it wouldn't last.
That's what I mean. And most don't. That's the thing. Most don't. 5 years is quite an achievement, and you guys have worked really hard for that. So well done, sir.
And it doesn't feel, it doesn't feel like a drag. Well, I worked at radio stations where it was hard. It was still kind of fun once you got there, but you just didn't look forward to getting there.
Well, that's the cool thing about you guys is you see you guys catching your stride. The chemistry builds, the rapport builds between you guys. You're getting to where it's like you finish each other's sentence. You're becoming that annoying old couple, that can finish each other's sentence. Y'all starting to look like each other a little bit and all that. But no, you guys are really, the dynamic of you two is really it's grown along with you, and it's really fun to watch, and I enjoy it.
Appreciate that, and I appreciate you coming in and helping when one of us is not available to be here. Lisa Poole's checking in. Judge Posey, good morning. Kendra Douglas, happy Friday to you. Christina Wise is in early. Marvin Mickish. Morning, Ash. Welcome back, Caleb. Slipping a little bit. He'd been first in pretty much every day this week, and now he's down to 5th. So,
well, see, he gets that pass when I'm in, though.
Yeah. Andy Rhea Jr.'s in. Bobby Leister. Glad to see the upgrade on the show. Ricky King, Leister Armors holding steady at 1,004. Chris Conrad. Good morning, Scott Snow. J Dub. Morning to you, J Dub. Stephanie Miller. The Canadian contingent is up and Adam this morning. BJ Nelson, Adam Daughtry. Good morning to you, Adam, and your daughter. Jennifer Rayburn, City Council election tomorrow. Absolutely get out and vote for District 3. Jeremy Pena, Natalie Mayer, good morning. Jeff Fonseca, Patrick Strauss.
We're getting them. Full house coming in.
Junior Samples, Amanda Smith King, Arena Shearer. We appreciate everybody. So should we start local and then maybe move globally?
Why not? I never have local opinions. Let's
Never.
jump right into something. What you got?
Well, you and I first became acquainted through our rescue efforts of dogs.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah, we've actually done several successful missions together and saved some dogs.
Save some lives.
Yeah, I'm sure we looked real cool a couple times running across parking lots, making diving catches, trying to chase dogs, and yeah, the good old days.
The good old days. And slowed down a little bit. But at City Council meeting earlier this week, they unveiled a new animal ordinance. It's not just dogs, it's cats, fowl. I mean, lizards, amphibians, pretty much anything that you could potentially own as a pet or have in your possession or even sort of control. I mean, to the point that if there's a stray and you happen to be feeding it and maybe you put out a shelter for it, if you do that for 3 days, it's now considered yours. And you will bear the consequences of it just trying to help this poor creature survive on the streets. So read through them, got through the red-lined version, which was a little tough to read. And I didn't see the other version, but there is another one there, and I didn't have time to go through it. But some of the things that jumped out at me. 4 dogs, 4 cats, or a total of 6. The math doesn't. That must be that new math they're teaching in school.
Common Core or whatever it's called.
And I called city council members. I don't live in the city anymore, but you do. But my first blush at looking at this was this is going to hamper and hinder and probably do more harm to those who try to help pets than those who don't give a crap about pets.
Right. I'll preface with this. I believe the intentions are good, and I really want to commend David Gonzalez over there at the health department. I believe he's serious about wanting to help. I sincerely believe that. And,
yeah, I do too. I'm not knocking the effort. I think there's some improvements that need to be made, and that's where you and I have gone through this, and I think we've got some suggestions that might help.
And so I want to start with that. That I think the intentions are good. Now, on that note, it reminds me a lot of gun laws. Like we've got to do something. So let's attack the law-abiding people and not the dirtbags, and the criminals. And that's what I see, sadly, with this whole deal is, well, the intention, because they're getting their butts kicked at animal control on a daily basis, every day, all day. It's pretty disgusting, just to be honest, what gets dropped off over there, how it gets dropped off. The people are gross, and it's nasty what they do to animals. And so they're starting from a position of getting their butts kicked on a daily basis, and they're underwater, and I get that.
And let's start there. Our animal control needs more efforts. I'm not sure these ordinances go far enough to give them some leverage and ability to do their jobs with some authority.
That, I think, is the key issue is I think we're arguing over low-hanging fruit when the big thing that we need to go after is the enforcement side of things, and we always see that during, like freezes. Yeah, that's where the teeth need to be, and that's where they need to have that enforcement authority. And sadly, we see that like during the freeze when you have these dirtbag owners that have their dogs, almost frozen to death out there, and there's no authority for anybody to go do anything. And then it becomes the finger pointing, well, PD no, that's sheriff's office. Well, I don't, and nobody really knows where to go, what to do, and all that. And sadly, I don't think any of these ordinance suggestions are going to solve that, and I think you're going to create potential issues for the good people. Because what if you get at that crazy neighbor, that 99-year-old lady that all she does is look out her windows for people doing things, and she counts your dogs and you have 7 and not 6, but you're a good dog owner. Well, I know the law wasn't written for you. They're not talking about you, but if somebody calls, now they're forced to, they have to address that. Yeah, they can't let you get away with it and the guy next to you not. So what do you do?
Yeah. And having lived in the city and having been active in rescue, 4 dogs I would love to be down to 4 dogs at some point
Right.
when I lived in town because of the efforts. And the reason I could never get there is because there's idiot pet owners out there who neglect. I mean, and I'm not proud of this fact, but right now we have 11 dogs, right? Still have Clyde, who you helped. That was our latest rescue adventure.
You have to keep Clyde. I'm going to say it on the air right now. Nobody take Clyde from him. I'm sorry, I don't normally stifle your deals, but Clyde's your dog. Anyway, sorry. Go ahead. You're like, Caleb, you're going to get it now.
Cheryl's going to be calling me.
No, I'm sorry, Cheryl, but I like Clyde.
Then take him.
Yeah. Well,
I can visit.
You know, I don't want to say on air how.
That's not the right word.
Yeah,
not
the right word.
Visits.
There you go. I don't want to say how many dogs. I do live in the city, but I'm right there with you.
Yeah, but the reason we had so many, and we end up with, it seems like with the ones that just can't find a home, they're good dogs, but they're kind of misfits.
Right.
Right. We still have 2 animals that we rescued after Harvey and tried to find homes for them. Didn't work out. So we kind of have if it doesn't work, we have a no questions asked return policy. We're kind of like a good retail outlet that way.
Well, that's us too. Every dog we have but one is a rescue.
Yeah.
Every single one but one is a rescue.
Yeah. And I'm in the same boat. I mean, we've got all but one has been rescued over time. And we've got ones that are pushing 12, 13 years old, and, it's been that long, but all but one. And the 4 pets is going to hurt because there are a lot of informal and formal rescue people and networks in this community and in this city who have more than 4 dogs. And they're going to be hampered by this, and where the ones it needs to go after, and it does address it in some way, but the enforcement side still becomes a problem, the resources to go after them. The backyard breeders, the people that leave their dogs on a chain, the people that just don't give a crap about their dogs, cats, fowl, guineas, whatever it is. Those are the ones that I think aren't going to end up being impacted by this at all, because the threat of current penalties don't deter them.
Exactly.
And they have no decency, because I have one. Actually, I have 2 that had puppies and are now, at some point, and they're at my house now. Their teats were hanging low. They were dried up. They were malnourished.
Yep.
They're thrown on the street when they're no longer able to give the puppies that, and produce the income that these folks want.
Yep. No, and that's the same exact thing for us, and you're right. It's not going to, it's saying you can only own 6 guns. Well, great. You're not going after the guy that's out in the middle of the street shooting, and to me, it's like you're just going after the wrong problem there. And in the attempt to do something, but I think honestly, enforcement is the last thing any of them want, because that's when it starts getting, when they go and start writing tickets or, possibly arresting people for animal abuse and stuff like that. I think, I don't know where it goes, but I think that's the direction it needs to head. And this, while well-intentioned, I feel you'll probably see an amendment to this, thing.
And they're working on it. I talked to some city council members. They are working on amendments. I think the 4.4 might be adjusted upward. The other one that I really had troubles with was, I believe if you have a dog that has puppies after 8 weeks, you're now in violation of the 4 dog rule. If you have more than, obviously mom, and if you had 4 puppies, now you have 5 dogs in violation. Right. 8 weeks from my experience, even though I know mom usually weans them in about 8 weeks, that's still about 4 weeks early before you can start adopting or selling puppies. It seems a little early. I brought that up. I think they're going to look into that and amend that. But the other one is, and I know it's for resource purposes and stuff, but charging fees to drop animals off or surrender them to animal control, I think that's just going to exacerbate the already big problem we have in this county of dogs being dumped.
Yeah, no, I agree, because, with the exception of the Good Samaritan driving by and just seeing an animal in need or something, I would argue a lot of times that anybody that's just going to load up and, you know what, I'm sick of my dog today, and take it out to animal control, $25, that person's not going to spend $25 to ditch their dog. They're going to drive out a country road and they're going to throw it in your yard. They're going to throw it in somebody else's yard, and sadly, or
they're going to continue to do what they already do, tie them to the fence when animal control and the other facilities are closed.
That, and again, I understand their resources are low, they're whatever, but that one, the most, I think, is just a terrible one, because the people that's aimed at are generally, they don't care enough to spend $25 to help a dog, you know.
And I don't, and again, I'm not an expert in any of this, although I have been involved in trying to draft ordinances for Victoria County and presented a set to years back, and I think you were involved in that.
But I just, if we're going to try to enforce, you know, the count, this, that, why not enforce the actual problem of the abuse and the neglect? And I feel, you know, they're probably trying to set a foundation upon which that they can maybe do those things. But again, you know, abuse is abuse, and it's usually pretty easy to spot and all of that. I mean, during the freeze was a good example. When you had these people, you would give them hay, you give them straw, and they'd get mad and go put it and run over it in their driveway. And the dog, when the sheriff's office showed up, it could barely stay. It was nearly frozen. It had icicles hanging off of it, and the dog was given back the next morning to the guy. You know, and that's heartbreaking to me.
Yeah, Julie Flessner asked, she hasn't read it, but asked if there was opportunities for exemptions for those that foster for the rescue groups.
I didn't recall.
I don't know that there is, and that's part of that's part of not the problem with this, but I think that's who's going to get hurt are those that you can reach out to and say, hey, I got a dog, I need a home for a little while.
Yeah. The people that help the most in this situation by fostering 6, 7, 8 dogs so they don't get sent to the pound, you know? Yeah, no, I'm with you. And I don't think there's an easy answer, but I really feel any answer is going to come on the enforcement side. Is my humble opinion is giving law enforcement some clear cut, hey, this, if it's in the city, it's PD, or outside it's sheriff's, and then what they're allowed to do when they get there, and then follow through with it. You know, I mean, it's if these dirtbags that are fighting dogs or doing these things get their rear ends handed to them, you know, a few times, then at least to discourage you, at least, I don't know, at least it's not just right out in front in the public. You know, I've seen some things that just boggle my mind that they're still allowed, you know?
So a couple of troublesome areas from my perspective, having worked in that rescue world, that I saw in the new ordinances, and I've already talked to city council members, and I think they'll be addressed, which is good. But wanted to bring awareness, there are 2 more readings of this bill or ordinance that have to happen. It did pass the first reading. There was a little bit of discussion of maybe waiting and tabling it while they made some amendments, but they were advised that they could pass it and still make the amendments for the next 2 readings and keep amending it as they go. I hope we don't get too far down the road that some things will be passed that enough scrutiny hasn't been exercised, that this will get passed. And then I guess you can always amend it. And let's be honest, this thing hasn't been amended since like the early 1990s. So it's time.
Right. No, I agree. But yeah, it's all right. Let's just stop now. We've already got it passed. We don't need to continue to amend it. Yeah. No,
but that tells you exactly what happens with some of these things. It's been, I think 92 was the last time.
Yeah.
So we're
well, let them know,
you know, 20 years in.
Let your congressperson, you know, it may end up there, but no, let your council person know, and they're open to hear from you, you know, and they want your input on it. And, I'm sure all of them love getting animal control calls all day long, you know, but it's an important issue. It really is. And so.
And it tends to, I mean,
here we are again talking about it.
Well, and I know, talking to one city council member, that this raised some calls. There was one area about dangerous dogs, which I did read through. I think it's got, pardon the pun, some good teeth to it, but it wasn't breed specific. And I championed and I said, thank you for not making it breed specific. I know there's been some progress, because at one time you could not adopt a, you know, quote, high risk breed out of animal control. They backed that off. You can now. It can only go to a registered foster. You can adopt dogs like that out of there. So I did thank them for not banning breeds,
right,
or labeling them as dangerous dogs, and working to truly identify whether that dog, regardless of what it is actually a danger.
Right. And like I said, I believe their intent is sincere on this, and I think that they're hoping. So when you call up there and you talk to them, don't be the crazy rescue people and start yelling and screaming at them and all that. Just talk to them and let them know what you're thinking, and hopefully they'll listen.
And I think they were kind of hoping that the state legislature was going to solve some of this with the animal welfare bill that Governor Abbott refused to sign. I believe it was passed and he just didn't sign it, if I remember.
Yeah, that one was a little odd to me. Why he didn't? I mean, it looked like he was doing a little legal semantic dance around that, not wanting to. But I mean, this seems like, to me, this shouldn't be as complicated as we're making it. You know, writing some way to protect animals from abuse and neglect doesn't seem like it would be.
We
that
all
hard.
know it when we see it.
Right.
It's kind of like pornography. Well, I can't tell you exactly what it is, but we know it when we see it,
Right.
right?
No,
that old line,
exactly.
right?
Yeah. And but that's the trick. How do you, in court, that doesn't work? Well, we know it when we see it. That's when they get into the stupid where you got to have 3 structures with half a wall on one side with a 45-degree angle and all that,
Yeah.
and it sucks. And I get it, but I would just encourage people, keep talking to your representatives and hopefully they listen.
Absolutely. District 3, you'll have an opportunity after Saturday to really engage your pet owners in District 3. We'll have an opportunity to put this one right on the first item on the plate.
Boom, right out the gate.
Spaghetti that they'll have.
Right out the gate.
Right out the gate for either Dwayne Crocker or Chad Hall.
Yeah, that's this weekend, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Yep. Tomorrow.
Yep.
Early voting's over, so get out and vote tomorrow.
Tomorrow, I keep forgetting.
Yeah, District 3. Caller, hang on. I got to take our first break, and then we'll bring you in. So Allen's Wrecker Service, 578-6300 for all your wrecker needs, for all your towing needs. I have a feeling this is going to be a busy weekend, kind of the last weekend before school gets really into the meat of things. I think people are going to be on the roads. And so do drive with care and caution. But if you need a wrecker in the region, Allen's Wrecker Service is our go-to tow-to. VCS Companies, Rocket Oil Field Services, the only locally owned and authorized AT&T retailer. Our banner sponsor for a reason. They're just phenomenal at what they do. I've used them for multiple services. For all your communication needs, VCS Companies has you covered. Chesnick Furniture Company, 116 West Woodland, 101 years in business in beautiful downtown Victoria. They sell best furniture. That's the brand, and it lives up to its name. American made, American designed, all sorts of styles, whether you want contemporary, whether you want something a little more traditional, whether you want something retro. Best has you covered, and they're one of the brands that they have at Chesnick, and they're awesome.
They're the best. And
Bobby Leon has done a great job for 100. He hasn't been there 101 years, but the family has done great with Chesnick Furniture Company. Veracruz, last day today to get in there for the weekend. Otherwise, you got to wait till Monday, folks. And that's, if you don't get your Veracruz fix, it's going to be a long, long weekend. So get in today, enjoy Veracruz. You can be in and out for under $10 if you have a lunch special. So
there you go. Sounds good to me. Sounds good. Oh, we got a caller.
We do have a caller. Good morning, Wade and Carter. Hey, Adam D. How are you? Congrats real quick on your appointment to the Planning Commission. I know it's something you wanted, and appreciate you willing to serve in that capacity as a citizen on that board.
Yep. Thank you. And congrats. Yes, sir.
Trying to solve the problems that are unique to Victoria and the city, and I applaud them for that. And that's what I said. We agree with that.
Yep.
I think it's awesome.
And that's why now's the time to help out and not throw rocks at them. And
but give your input,
yeah.
because if you don't, you've missed your opportunity. And we know that pet owners and those in rescue can be very vocal and somewhat critical, but now's the time to be proactive and help the situation and get to a solution that will benefit everybody and not hamper, because that was the one thing. And talking to others, talking to city council members and talking to those on the pet rescue side, they feel this will hamper their efforts. So give them ideas and solutions to help them, to help that part of the community, not hinder them, but don't be critical and bash and then get mad when something happens, but you missed your opportunity to have input and to provide relevant experience that can be used to make this a better ordinance to do what it's designed to do, and that's protect pets and pet owners. Yeah.
Agreed.
I agree. Thanks, Adam. Appreciate the call. Have a good weekend. Bye.
No, he's spot on, and I agree, that I do appreciate the effort. And again, that's why I say that I think they're sincere, and now's the time to offer a hand to them and an opinion. And again, to the rescues, we're passionate people, but don't be crazy, don't call up and that's, we can be a little over passionate sometimes and run off the people that are trying to help us. And so, find that balance on your crazy, control your crazy right now and offer solutions, but now's not the time to go on attack.
No.
They're still in the listening phase, hopefully. So, yeah. What else we got going, man?
And the other thing too, just, I know the city is busy. They've got video production capability and stuff. Maybe that would get more people engaged, at least to watch the meeting or attend. But when they put out the agenda, instead of just putting out the agenda and they having to read through that gobbledygook, 15, 20, 30-second little video snap of here's what's on the agenda for next week's city council meeting. And then, it's quick, it's digestible.
Yep.
No, and it sends it out the way people like to receive their information these days, in sound bites and without having to do much work.
Yeah. That simpler is always better. So no, I'm with you. I am with you.
So bomb scare at the Capitol yesterday. I don't know if you saw this. One lone crazy man from North Carolina, I think, apparently anti-government guy. I'm surprised that they released that. I'm surprised he wasn't an always Trumper and a right winger. But no, this guy was just pure anti-government.
That's probably why I haven't heard it the whole time. I was out in the field yesterday, so I missed most of it. But you're right. If it was some guy with a Trump flag on the back of his thing, I feel like the exposure would be twice what it is today.
But they locked this down, but we couldn't find a way to secure the Capitol.
Yeah, I know that whole, that's all I'll say on that one is I don't know. The whole Capitol thing is still just kind of a head scratcher to me and
all politics.
Yeah. I really think it is. And I, there are some questions I am curious about, like security details and things like that I do think are important, but those aren't the issues that they're the questions they're going to try to answer. It's all this witch hunt stuff and blaming of narratives and all this garbage that I don't think is the actual truth that we seek. And so, I haven't paid a lot of attention to that anymore. I've just kind of moved on.
Yeah, I was surprised some of the details. Were already released, because that's just not typically how the media works. But I'm starting to sense the media they're starting to become a little more critical of the president
slightly.
But I'm not going there that they're going to actually hold him to account for anything.
Yeah, well, some of this stuff is just getting so bad that I think they're even confused on how to cover it. Like, come on, I saw what's his name, Stephanopoulos the other day. I mean, he was like trying to walk him through some of his answers because President Biden just couldn't deliver on an answer. And he's like, well, and what else? And like,
I think I heard one question that I actually was surprised that George even went there with. But for the most part, that sit down with Joe Biden and for those that think that this was an unbiased opportunity in the front of the media for the president, don't forget George Stephanopoulos worked for what, Bill Clinton?
Yeah,
didn't
the
he?
Clinton campaign.
Yeah.
Yep.
You know, he was working in the White House when he was hired by ABC.
Yeah.
Just so you got a frame of reference there of whether or not there was actually, an unbiased person sitting across from Joe Biden, or as unbiased as can be, because everybody has a bias and it will come out.
The Afghanistan situation, I think, is really, really hurting him.
Yeah.
I think that one's hanging around his neck pretty solid, and they're having a hard time spinning that one because it's an ugly situation.
How does your thoughts on Afghanistan? You served this country.
I didn't go there. I didn't go to Afghanistan, but that said, some of the things that I don't like that I'm hearing, and I want to stress again, I was not there, so I want to make that clear. But on that note, like some of these guys were fight. I keep hearing, they're not willing to fight, so why should we fight? Well, a lot of them were, and a lot of them died right beside us, and some of the stuff, like we left them helicopters, but we didn't leave them crews to work on those helicopters, and we didn't allow contractors in to come. So a lot of those things were sitting grounded, and they were doing Zoom calls to try to fix some of their equipment. The mechanics were doing Zoom calls with people to try to fix their stuff. So in a lot of ways, we left them stuff, but we left them stuff they couldn't use, or and now don't get me wrong, a lot of guys laid down arms and walked off and did so, and they're the Taliban's now in possession of billions of dollars of our equipment and all of this, and it's disgusting, and I watched that video with one of the administration officials saying, well, I don't think they're going to readily hand that back to us and give it back to us and all that. And it's like,
no, they're selling it on the Pakistani version of Craigslist or eBay. I saw a story on this, I think from Reuters.
It's like that, we're the United States of America, first and foremost. Yeah. And people should recognize that, and they should fear,
and they've got the details. US truck, 6.2 liter diesel engine, heavy. I mean, they know what we left behind.
Yeah, because they're in possession of all, and it's just crazy to me that we allow, the things that we allow, and we act like we can't control these things, and that, that is such a colossal waste of taxpayer dollars that is sitting there, and the enemy is now in possession of, and all that, and I've
read some things, and you may know this, being former Air Force, and maybe not because you're Air Force.
It's true. Yeah, got me. Nope.
I had to. I mean, because nobody else was going to.
Yeah, nobody ever gives me a hard time.
Nobody ever. But I was reading a blog. They would drop charges down the cannons, right, to blow these things up. They would set. They would put some sort of incendiary device on the engines of the vehicles so that they would burn the motors up and that they were useless. Or they would, plant explosives and blow these things to smithereens so that and none of this was done, apparently. Mm-hmm. I mean, I don't know. Is that what was done?
No, we had procedures that, like if we ever had to ditch an aircraft or something like that, where you destroy the sensitive and classified information on there and things to protect, that stuff. But, it doesn't appear those things were done, and I don't know. I was reading last night that they uncovered some of that technology that we had to, with the database of all the contractors and stuff like that they're now in possession of, and those are items, those should never leave our control, our possession, much less end up in the hands of the Taliban. And I have a hard time putting that on our military people, because I know how well they perform their duties and how well, but when you're given an order, you're told to do something, some of this I just don't get anymore. And I don't understand the decisions that are made, because they don't seem like the wise decisions. I just don't get it,
Let's pause for a brief second and let's kind of get into that side of it, because I have some questions. I don't have answers, and you may have ideas and a little bit more informed. Atzenoffer since 1926, or atzenoffer.com. Chevrolet, Cadillac, Mitsubishi, Mazda, all your service. Great selection of pre-owned. Believe it or not, folks, they still have some trucks in the lot. So if you're looking for a used truck or a new truck, they've got them. They've also got bigger trucks. If you've got a commercial enterprise that requires a little bit heavier duty, trucks and fleets, they can handle that as well. White Trash Services for all your trash collection needs. Site services, they can help clean up any site that you're preparing for construction. Give the folks at White Trash a call, 550-1826. They will help you have a trash-tastic day and weekend. Razor IT Solutions, John Paul Hall, he could have easily kept some of that information out of the hands of the Taliban. He can help protect your digital information, your data. He can help optimize your website and how you can use and mine some of that data from your business to help you become more profitable and better equipped. The law offices of Stephen Kidder for all your legal needs. Steve Kidder can certainly answer questions, but more often than not, will find solutions to your legal issues. He's a good one. He's also very witty and fun guy to have conversations with, and pretty good lover of music too. So
I was wondering
Get a
about
chance.
that. Good music. Okay.
Yeah. And Complete 360. Stopped by there for lunch yesterday to the health bar right over here in Red River. I had the ham and pear panini.
They've got a new dish out that I want to try. I saw Brandon sharing the other day. It's some bowl that, you got your protein in. Anyway, it looked pretty.
Is
like
that
$10 or something.
acai?
I don't even try all the weird names.
Yeah,
Give me that bowl with that stuff in it. I
It
point.
did look pretty good.
But yeah, they've got some new
panini
stuff
went
that.
out.
Yeah, I'm trying to work on the clean eating side right now because I've been in some ice cream lately.
But it was pretty good. So, a couple of questions. Do you think that some of this fuels the military-industrial complex? If we leave behind a Black Hawk helicopter and some guns and things, well, now we've got to get a bigger gun because our enemy has something that's equal to our Black Hawk. You think some of that plays into some of this?
Well, I do believe war is a very profitable business,
And good for economies. Let's be honest.
Yes, sir. And so I do. A lot of people get rich off of this stuff, and so and I'm to the point where honestly nothing surprises me anymore. I want to believe that everybody has the most virtuous intentions and all of that, but sadly I don't. I think most of our politicians suck really bad, and a lot of these people make less money on paper than we do, yet they retire as multi-millionaires with $3 or $4 million houses and all that, and I'm still
better
paying
health care than everybody else.
And so a lot of it, it wouldn't surprise me at all. A lot of times I think that money and personal agendas are more the goal now than the security of the country. I mean, look at our borders. Look at, we're sitting here talking about forcing vaccines on people, all this stuff want to force on business, force mandates, yet we have an open border. We have, all that we're flying in, thousands upon, thousands of Afghanis, and some of them do need to be here for their protection and all that. I'm not even getting into the yay or nay of that. I'm just saying, like, it seems like the boot of government is coming down on its own people everywhere, yet to the rest of the world, we're softening our stance and letting their narratives control things. And we're always reacting instead of setting the tone. And so I would just like to see America lead. And so I don't like this lead from the rear crap, where we allow everybody else to dictate what we do. No, like I said, we're the United States of America. We should dictate things. We should plant our flag and say, you accommodate us, or we're going to come in there and stomp you. This whole deal with the Taliban ticks me off because we're going to end up, you mark my words, we're going to end up paying them. We're going to, like I heard the guy say the other day, if they attack any of our people, all financial incentives are off the table and all. What the heck are we paying the Taliban for? What is that even a discussion for? Like, are you really, and you mark my words, 6 months from now, a year from now, one of those commanders from the Taliban is going to walk out and say, we didn't attack because they gave us $1 billion cash not to, and I guarantee you right now, I would be willing to bet the keys to my truck that money is being either fed to them already or promised to them to not attack our forces and stuff right now. And that's disgusting to me that we're giving 1 penny to the Taliban. And anyway, so I'm on that one ticks me off. The
Taliban won't attack us. They'll just continue to provide areas for other terrorist groups to train in the borders inside Afghanistan, and then they will come and attack us.
Right.
In some way, shape,
and this whole deal, they've got they're going to wait till the last person takes off, and then they're just going to start slaughtering. And they're already doing it.
They didn't have to wait. They were already protesting in a couple cities over the last couple of days, and they just went in and started gunning them down, getting rid of the protesters.
Yeah, I'm one of these old school. They kill one of us, we wipe out their whole platoon. you know, and they kill
Well,
opportunity.
how can you
take out
do
their
that when
citizens.
most of the politicians in Washington D.C. are? We don't want to send our kids to fight these wars.
Yeah.
They're not going to. They're sure as heck not going to support 500,000 troops going in and just.
Yeah, when's the
utterly
last time we
taken
had
over.
a U.S. troop lost over there first? And then secondly, if they would actually
Well-
unleash the United States military when there's a threat or something that needs responding to by the military, if they would actually let them be the military and let them respond, we could solve these things. You know, they could go in there and smash the Taliban
Well-
and
You listen to the estimates of the number of troops we had there, and you brought up a good point. Our recent casualties in Afghanistan have been few, if any, right?
Mhm.
But we seem to have, I don't want to say things were perfect, but some sort of detente had been reached. We hadn't had, and you could, and you might, okay, you know, President Trump wanted to get us out of wars as well. But what do we have? 1,500 troops, 2,500 civilians working over there are some of the numbers I've heard.
Yep.
We sent more troops over there to help get the 3,000, 4,000 out
then we had
than
originally.
we had
Yep.
still left there, plus 15,000 NATO troops, other troops from other countries. There was still a ground force collectively of probably 25 or 30,000 troops over there when you add everybody in. But we didn't have many, and we hadn't had really many losses lately. And some are saying, well, you know, given the fact that we hadn't been attacked, the 20th anniversary of 9/11 is coming up, which some analysts are saying that they're viewing this, the Taliban and Al Qaeda and others are viewing this as a big anniversary. Wouldn't it have been wise maybe to at least get through that period or to keep a presence there?
You would think, you know, residual force there is able to maintain that control a lot of times, you know, but they showed that they didn't have a nuke or an F-15 and they were able to send us packing, you know, and it, you know, and that, you know, I will say Afghanistan though, for all these people that talk, you know, why you know, the Second Amendment is important here, you know, Afghanistan has now held its own to two you know, the Soviet Union and the United States. And that was a bunch of guys out in the brush with AK-47s and all that. And they show you that they held up to two world powers with all the technology in the world. And, you know, a bunch of 8th century warriors out there held us off and all that. And you know, and again, truth be, you unleash our military, we'll smash them. We'll smash them, you know, but
we're not committed to winning.
Exactly. Yeah. We want to win hearts and minds. And that's not what the United States military does. The United States military blows things up. We destroy things. We kill things. That's what we do, you know.
It's militaries are designed.
Exactly. You know, and so I just don't know, you know, it's an ugly situation, but that's not their focus. It's white supremacy that's the issue, you know, and all I keep hearing is domestic terrorism and white supremacy is the number one threat. And there's Nazis behind every corner, and I haven't seen one yet, but apparently they're everywhere, and you know, and that's what I think is the deal is they're telling us nothing to worry about over there, that the problem is here. And
with all the focus on the Capitol, how does this one nut job from North Carolina even get anywhere near it to potentially put the bombs out to produce a bomb scare in the nation's capital?
Right. You know, like I don't know, and I'm sure you've been to DC. Like it's you know, you feel pretty secure there. Like there's cops everywhere, you know, and
you can't get to the White House.
Yeah,
Pennsylvania Avenue is walls and fences, and you're standing back a ways. It's not like I remember seeing pictures of people there in the 70s when you were basically almost on the White House lawn.
Well, my first thought when I saw just the picture of that truck and the dude with his head hanging out, I was like, great, they got exactly, you know, some crazy redneck dude showed up there, Trump, and just gave them all. I was just like, oh God. But then, like you said, it got quiet all of a sudden. So I'm like, wait a minute, you know, something like that would be not, I mean, they'd still be 24/7 coverage if he was, you know, anytime it goes hot, then it goes cold. Why? What, you know, it doesn't fit the narrative, you know?
Yeah. No, so, absolutely.
Man, I got all fired up a second ago.
Yeah,
Sorry about that. I love my country though.
No,
you know?
absolutely.
And our military, I've served with too many people that they're the best in the world at what they do. They're the absolute best in the world. And we send them in there with their hands tied behind their backs. We send them in there blindfolded, and then we expect them to pull off the mission. And yeah. Anyway, go America.
Wade and Carter. Hey. Yeah. You were there. You served how many years there?
Thank you.
Okay.
And I don't.
Thank you. That's a great perspective.
And I agree. And to put that in, and you know, I guess when it's time for them to smash, let them smash. You know what I mean? But I don't disagree with your assessment and or your point on that. I think it's very well taken. And I don't pretend to know. That's why I wanted to stress I was not there, and I would listen to somebody that was boots on the ground there and all of that. I just, in the same breath, I feel a lot of times we don't let our military do what they need to do to accomplish the mission. And that's kind of where I was going with that, you know, second to common sense and things like that you said, but agreed. And thanks for being there. No,
Gotcha.
I don't disagree. Don't disagree.
Appreciate it. Thanks, man. Have a good weekend. Thanks, John. John Houghton, known him since high school, served the Canadian military in Afghanistan for a number of years, and appreciate his perspective on that. And,
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
you know what? It almost echoes some things that we've said about our foreign policy and our foreign aid. We just throw boatloads of cash at these countries and never anything to actually instill a change in what's going on. They're still impoverished. They still don't know how to take care of themselves. They still don't know how to grow crops. And all the money just ends up in the hands of the despots and their families and the military generals that they need to bribe to keep on their side.
Right. Yeah.
And no accountability.
Yeah. You know, and that's why it's such a hard answer, because I don't disagree with him, you know, and it's like you got to do both at once. You got to help the ones that want to be helped and smash the ones that need to be smashed. And so it's a fine line, and I totally, you know, I get it, you know. I get it.
Final break. Motto Mortgage, Terry Murray, 541-5454. For all your mortgage needs, she makes it easy. She explains it, breaks it down. She can find a scenario that will help you accomplish any of your home ownership needs, whether you're looking to buy a home, refinance, get cash out. If you're a veteran, she can help you. If you're a first-time home buyer, she can help you. Give Terry a call at Motto Mortgage, 541-5454. She's helped many of our listeners, and she can help you as well. Went Services for all your electrical needs. We dodged a bullet with Grace, but there's some activity in the Western Caribbean, so now might be the time to give Went a call, get that backup generator on order before the next storm comes through, because it's never an if, it's always a when.
Most definitely, sadly.
USA Concrete Coatings, 578 Home, Charlie Garcia, for all your concrete and cement recoating needs. They can transform any concrete surface and turn it into something that's usable. That, you know, if it's an old patio, you're going to want to spend time on it. Once Charlie and his gang has a crack at it, there won't be any more cracks. They'll seal it up, and in most cases, they can have it done in a day or less. So give Charlie a call. USA Concrete Coatings 578 home is the number to call. There was something else with Afghanistan that I kind of wanted to get into. Something I heard this morning. Sean Spicer, former White House presser under Donald Trump, said that one of the biggest mistakes made and why there's so many problems in trying to help some of these Afghan refugees now, they don't know who they are. And the Biden administration, and he says this is commonplace when something like this happens. We burn all records, we destroy everything so that it doesn't fall into the hands of those we don't want it to fall into, and they can use it to inflict harm on these folks. So they did this. The problem was that should have been step 2. A copy of all this information securely getting it out of the country should have been step 1. They failed to do that. So now all these folks who did work on behalf of the U.S. government, translators and such, who will be in harm's way from the Taliban and are in harm's way for the Taliban, because the Taliban has said, if you help the infidel, we're going to kill you. They don't have a record of it, and they can't sort these folks out who are desperate to get out of there, and folks that we told we would help get out of there when the time came.
Yeah, that's so bad. I don't even know what to say to that, and like I said, I think we're just starting to see the travesties that are going to come out of Afghanistan. I was reading yesterday where a soldier had posted that one of his interpreters, they burned his DOD card into his chest and sliced off his arms and then hung him, and I think killed his family too, if I'm not incorrect. And sadly, I think that's just going to be the beginning of a lot of the bloodshed that we see coming.
And I wonder if we're ever going to see much of it by the mainstream media. When you have a reporter for CNN standing on the curb, well, they're chanting death to America, but they seem friendly otherwise.
Yeah, mostly peaceful.
Continuing that stupid narrative.
No, I it'll be curious to see how they spin it, but that's why I'm waiting on the next thing. I think that they'll switch it back to, they'll keep us fighting over masks, or they'll keep us fighting over something, and so yeah.
James Kerr says, so all the biometric data collected on people of interest, good and bad, is gone, but the NSA still has all his info.
Yes, they don't lose our stuff ever, do they?
Not at all. Not at all. Interesting as the coronavirus thing. Two things. I want to end on a positive note. I got a great story out of Poland with an Olympian there. We'll end on that. But okay. Coronavirus, just observations. They're starting to say, that the measures that Germany took are having an effect. But then when you superimpose the data from Sweden, it's almost the exact same graph patterns of ups and downs. And in fact, Germany's ups are a little bit worse than Sweden. So all you have to do is look at other data to say, well, I'm not really sure on that. But they're starting to twist the narrative again. As these vaccines become less effective, 3 studies that we reported yesterday show that efficacy against the coronavirus down to about 80% compared to the 95% that they claimed when they brought these vaccines out. Well, it's kind of like the flu shot. It gives you some protection, may not protect you against everything.
Did you say kind of like the flu? A year
flu
ago,
shot.
That would get you attacked in the streets for saying that.
That's my point. A year ago, you could not even mention the word flu in a conversation with coronavirus without getting your head bitten off and Facebook banning you for a week because you called it the flu. But that's slowly becoming the narrative now from those on the left.
It's that goalpost being moved, and then being moved again, and then being moved. I'm just glad we're past the 2 weeks to flatten the curve. I'm just glad we've gotten past that already.
Watch for this one, because and again, the people that are being completely left out of this equation are those who have had it recovered and should be immune. And studies are showing that they think immunity will last a long time if you've had it. And I'm not rushing out to telling people to go expose themselves to get it. But it runs counter to big tech and big pharma. I should say big pharma, not necessarily big tech. Big pharma, well, big tech too. But big pharma who want to make, who've made. We haven't even talked about the dollars involved in the 3rd shot. Mm-hmm. Now they want you to get a booster.
Yeah. it's really hard to cut through and find the truth on so much.
That's
of this
all I
stuff,
want.
you know,
Give us the data without spinning it, without lying, so that we can make informed decisions. Because now we're starting to the flu comments are starting to shape and rear their ugly heads. A year ago, you couldn't make that comparison. This ain't the flu. But now they're saying, well, it's like the flu. You get a shot. You may not be protected from it all, but you'll have a better chance.
Yeah, I still believe we should question everything, you know, and I
sold us on the vaccine curing the problem.
Well, and I thought, you know, tell me if I'm incorrect, but I thought in the very, very beginning, before it was moved again, it was get the vaccine so you don't get it. And then it was, well, we never said it was get it so you don't get it. It was get it so it's less worse and it's not as bad on you. And then it moved from, well, get it for it. And it's like, no, that's not what you said. And anyway, it's hard to make informed decisions when the narrative changes every day, depending on which source you're talking to or who.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's hard and it's confusing.
So,
but what's something positive?
This one.
Talk to me.
Polish Olympian, Maria Andrzejczyk. She's a javelin thrower, won silver at the Olympics in Tokyo, which, by the way, had the worst TV ratings in recent Olympic history. I think the wokeness of the Olympics had a lot to do with it. I mean, 15 million viewers on average in this country a night.
Yeah.
Down almost in half from London and Rio.
Yeah. I turned it off. I didn't want to, When
you had people cheering against the U.S. and women's soccer and other sports, I told you everything. So anyway, aside from that, Maria Andrzejczyk, 25-year-old javelin thrower, had bone cancer, overcame that, had a shoulder injury. Pretty important piece when you're throwing the javelin because it's all rotation and shoulder for leverage. She wins silver. She auctioned off her silver medal to raise money for a young child who needed a life-saving operation, an infant in Poland. Isn't that amazing?
Mm-hmm.
And when it was all said and done, the buyer said, you earned that medal, you keep that medal.
Boom. There's a story. That's what needs to be. That's an Olympian that needs to be highlighted right there.
Absolutely.
You know, that's solid, you know, and that's what the game should be about. And yeah, well, hats off to her. How cool is that, you know?
So that's our upbeat story for Friday. And with that, have a good weekend, everybody. Caleb, thank you very much.
Thanks for having me again.
I think there's some upcoming dates. I might need you again as well.
Call me. As long as I'm allowed, I'll show up.
So
as long as the fans don't toss me off, like vote me out.
Never. They never do.
Yeah, don't give them the choice to
we
vote.
Always appreciate
Just force me on them like